Before I start this review, I just want to say I don't think there's an episode of Friendship is Magic that is completely meritless. Every single episode in the series has something interesting going for it. Take these 5 episodes right here, for example, my current bottom 5 of the series. I've already talked about putting your hoof down, but if you haven't seen that video, I think Iron Will is a great pseudo-antagonist, and it has one of the best instances in this series of supporting role Pinkie Pie. One Bad Apple has a catchy as hell song and introduces Babseed, who I kinda like. Mysterious Ne'er-do-well developed Rainbow Dash's character in a huge way. Drowning in Horseshoes went into his usual insane level of detail about that in his Ne'er-do-well review. Check that out if you haven't already. Spike at Your Service had some great dialogue, my favorite being the scene where AJ, Rarity, and Rainbow are just chatting at Rarity's place, talking about what they would do if someone owed their life to them. It wasn't that relevant to the plot, it just felt like we were seeing what these guys are like when they just hang out together, like when there isn't an episode happening. I don't know, it was just interesting to me. Dragon Quest? Well, it has a great premise. Spike goes through an existential crisis and wants to learn more about his kind. Unfortunately, that's hard to do among his pony friends since very little information is known about the dragons. So Spike decides to follow the dragons and find out firsthand what being a dragon is all about. That right there, great premise! Something I could absolutely see working. But what happens instead? Well, let's find out. Given how I just said that this is my least favorite episode in the series, it probably won't be a very happy outcome. Now, to be fair, I try to go into reviews like this as fairly as possible. I rewatched the episode a couple times, and I even watched positive reviews of the episode, particularly those from Buck Reviewer and Strebaskunk, to try and see what people who like this episode see in it. Now, one of Streby's big positives for the episode was its world building. The episode largely takes place in new locations and provides more information on dragons. Can't really dispute that, although it's never specifically mentioned where they are. Although that could just be a nitpick, so let's move on. The episode also has some great character development, and not just in the obvious places. One of the more interesting parts of the episode is the relationship between Spike and Rainbow Dash. Dashy kinda acts like a cool cousin who allows Spike to do what he thinks is best, but she isn't above some good-natured ribbing. Especially when Spike sets himself up so easily. I mean, come on, you'd have done it too. Plus, when she, Twilight, and Rarity follow Spike, Rainbow seems like the one most concerned with Spike's well-being. Now, with all the positive opinions I've just heaped upon this episode, you might be wondering why I consider this the worst episode in the series. Well, let's start with the teenage dragons. Easily the worst antagonist this show has ever given us. Why? Because there was nothing interesting about them. Good villains give you a reason for doing the things they do. Trixie is an annoying loudmouth, but she needs to be one to get ponies to come to her show. I mean, which do you think would entice more possible patrons? Hello, my name is Trixie Lulamoon, and I run a magic show. I'll show it to you for 5 bits. Or, for the nominal price of 5 bits, you may bear witness to the astounding magic of the great and powerful Trixie! I'm gonna go see the second show if for no other reason than to see if she can back up her talk. Lightning Dust is a reckless asshole, but she knows that the Wonderbolts are only going to take the best of the best, and she feels like climbing over the backs of others is the best way to get the Wonderbolts to notice her. Tyrek, Nightmare Moon, Discord, Sombra all broke out of millennia-long prison sentences and want revenge. Chrysalis wants to feed her people. Sunset Shimmer wants revenge for getting expelled from magic school. What are the dragons' reasons for doing what they do? Nothing, besides simple boredom. What do they hope to accomplish? Eat gems, slack off, and engage in sophomoric behavior. Oh, and indiscriminately kill shit. Not for food or practicing hunting techniques. Nope, just a little animal murder to pass the time. Sorry guys, sociopathic tendencies are not a substitute for interesting motivations. I know that villains are supposed to do things that aren't pleasant, but there has to be a reason for it. And if there is no reason, then they're bad villains. Simple as that. But being giant sociopaths isn't enough for these guys. They also have some truly shit dialogue. Most of it consists of either name-calling Spike with some of the lamest insults that fiction-based media has ever produced, making fun of his pony background, and various grunts and roars. There isn't a single memorable line from the dragons in the entire episode, except this little gem.
They got away! I hate that! You can't just have your characters announce how they feel! That makes me feel angry!
Oh, and 5 baby phoenixes... Phoenix Eye? Phoenix? I don't know. Were able to outsmart 3 teenage dragons. Worst antagonists. So, the dragons are psychopathic dude bros who have less personality than a cardboard cutout of Kristen Stewart. But what about the Pones? Well, they're a little better. You see, the moral of the episode centers around the fact that the ponies are Spike's real family, since they're the ones who raised him and made him the dragon he is today. A fine moral. Going off the whole family thing, though, if Rainbow is the cool sister and Twilight is the warm mother, then Rarity is the irritating aunt. Now, I'm trying to train myself out of saying stuff like out of character or Deus Ex Machina or flanderized or any of the other buzzwords you hear from us analysts from time to time. They're overused and often improperly used in the analysis community. But Rarity in the trench was some hardcore flanderization. Her behavior in that scene did nothing but remind the audience that Rarity is the one that likes fashion. Although that's only half of her character in this episode. Along with "Fashion is my everything" Rarity, we also have "Spiky Wakey is so adorable" Rarity. She's got 26 lines in this episode, and almost every single one lands in one of those two categories. And the thing is, in almost every single episode that Spike and Rarity have extended interaction, their relationship is one of mutual respect. Yes, Spike is significantly younger than Rarity, but she also talks to him like he's her equal, like he's her friend. In this episode, every line she says to him is filled to bursting with condescension, like he really is just a little boy in her eyes. Here, he's not her equal. He's her annoyed nephew. That right there is some pretty severe character degradation. But thankfully there is one character that is pretty good throughout almost the entirety of the episode. Spike. Good thing, considering that this was his big character developing episode. Anyway, he headlines the two best individual scenes in the episode: his breakdown at Twilight's house and his trek to reach the migration. In the former, Spike wants to know answers about where he comes from that Twilight just can't provide him. He stares at himself in the mirror and curls up in the fetal position, crying. Twilight then offers to spend the rest of the night going up and down through their library in search of any answers they can find. It's a heartwarming moment that solidifies their bond together. The latter is admittedly total filler, but it's epic filler, as Spike tries to catch up to the dragon migration on foot. I know I don't give William Anderson enough credit with the background music, but his music in this shot is phenomenal. In the end, there are a couple of things that this episode does right, like the character development and the world building. But like with putting your hoof down, when it screws up, it does so on a huge scale. The dragons are absolutely terrible, somehow being both incredibly cheesy and completely psychopathic. Rarity seems like a couple of completely different ponies in this episode, and I didn't even mention how the episode ends on a giant anticlimax. So with all that in mind, I'd give Dragon Quest a 41 out of 100. Luckily, that's the lowest this show has ever got for me, so yay. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. I just want to say thanks for getting me to 4,000 subscribers. I don't have anything big planned for this one, but I'll probably do something at 5K. Thanks anyway, guys. Oh, and before I go, tell me, what is your least favorite episode in the series? Thanks, and I'll see y'all later.